Having ADHD is kind of like being in a room and floor to ceiling, wall to wall, it's covered with TVs, and on every single TV there's something super interesting going on. And, and sometimes you catch yourself, in an ADHD moment. Like when you are making food, or rather supposed to be cooking, and you've got food on the stove, and it's going, it's happening, it's moving, and you somehow become distracted while cleaning. That silicone glove thing that you use to handle hot stuff. Yeah, you're busy, furiously cleaning that thing, and you're so involved in that while you're cleaning this thing, everything else becomes hot stuff because the house burned down. Or when sometimes someone's having a serious conversation with you, like, oh, my mother's been in hospital, and I'm so concerned about her, and you're like this, I'm so sorry, but in your head it's like, it's raining bad, hallelujah, it's raining bad. That's just what happens when you have ADHD. Or maybe when your phone rings and you're busy jamming to your ringtone instead of answering your boss's call, it's just raining. It's raining man, hallelujah. And your boss just wants to find out why you're not at work yet. And the reason why you're not at work is because you somehow became distracted with the door handle. And you're just like, wow, what a cool invention a door handle is. You were on your way out, but no, you got stuck there. You're like, wow, what a cool invention. How did they come up with this? I'm sure, without this thing, they wouldn't be able to open the doors. So what happened before? Did people just climb out of their windows to get to work? And, ironically enough, I'm stuck at home simply because of the door handle. Anyways, let's start the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. It's April Fool's. Well, it was April Fool's yesterday. And I decided to fool myself, by not doing an episode yesterday. I'm not gonna give you any excuses. I just wasn't in a good vibe, to be honest, and I don't think I could make the content that you expect or don't expect. The content that I would be happy with, if I was in the mood that I was in yesterday. I was just a bit tired and my energy just wasn't good, so I figured, okay, let me save it for the next day. So I apologize for the late episode, but I will make it up to you, I promise. Okay, but if this is your first time watching the show, please, I urge you, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're an old viewer of the show, or rather a regular viewer of the show, and you still haven't subscribed, what are you doing, man? Subscribe. Come on. Do it for the children. Anyways, and yeah, so I really hope you enjoy the show, and I always say this, the show is growing, it's moving forward, we are getting there. We are getting to where I would like to be, where I can have some guests. Oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to have a guest one day. And from then on, it's gonna be just fantastic. There's so many people out there that are super interesting to talk to. Also, we're on Spotify now. If you haven't seen the previous episode, I made an announcement. And you just go there to All Over the Show. Just search the show there on Spotify, and you should find it. And and then you can listen on the go. So I can be in your ears, just, hello, how are you doing? I can be in your ears, or I can be in your car, or I can just, be on your speaker while you're busy exercising or whatever. I like listening to podcasts when I exercise, but whether you're doing the dishes or exercising or cleaning the toilet or taking your kids to school, you can just play it in the car, and then you can listen to me. You can listen to me badger on about crazy stuff. So this is All Over the Show, and this is just a show where a guy just goes on about everything that pops into his head, and we just hope and pray it's entertaining and exciting. But it normally is. I mean, it's exciting for me, it's entertaining for me, and I think you're just watching me entertain myself, I guess, if that makes sense. But I still believe that you are part of the conversation. I'm talking to you, you're talking to me, hopefully laughing your your socks off, I hope. And that's my intention. But I decided to start off for that joke. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, someone give us a like there, or tell us in the comments, what you thought about the episode, about the joke as well. I've been trying to write jokes. Stand-up comedy is a art form that I've always been fascinated with ever since I was a young boy. I don't want to say ever since I was smaller, because I think I've always been this size, really. But I've just been trying to learn what these guys are doing, because there's definitely a way you can do it. Some people are naturally funny, which is just mostly by accident, or maybe you're trying to elicit laughter, and you're doing it in a semi-conscious way, And my intention, my goal really is to figure out the mechanics of it, the theory of comedy, and try to use that to entertain. That's the thing. I think at school I was always someone who, I won't say I was the class clown or anything, but every time I was hanging out with people, I always just wanted to make people laugh, and maybe it's because I wasn't feeling great, and I just wanted others to also feel good, and in the process of that, it made me feel good. It might also just be that, because I don't think it's a normal person who wants to pursue comedy, or wants to make people laugh. I don't think it's a normal person necessarily. Maybe it's just someone, like me, that enjoys people's approval, I guess. People's approval. I don't find myself seeking people's approval constantly, but there are times where I want people's approval, and I actually don't understand why. But okay, one day when I have lots of subscribers, then I can pay for therapy, and maybe the therapist can help me out with that part. But nonetheless, I think it's a good thing that there are people out there whose sole purpose is to bring laughter to others. I love that. I love that idea. And it's like that with many other art forms. This person's intention is just to create some sort of profound emotion in others. That's why we watch cool movies and funny movies. That's why I enjoy stand-up comedy. That's why we enjoy the books that people write, because it's like I can give the listener, the reader, the viewer something greater than what they could just take with them already. It's something bigger than what the content actually is. It's what it creates. It's what it inspires. So yeah, like I've just been, just trying to break it down. Literally watching stand-up comedy and trying to take notes, and because it's obvious that there's a way that they do it. They set things up. They set up a joke, and then they hit you with a punchline, and the punchline tends to be something ironic, or something, a twist, something you didn't expect, or an exaggeration of some sort, and I've been trying to incorporate those things into the jokes that I've been trying to write. But it's also just in the spirit of April Fool's Day, and I'm the biggest fool there is, or the smallest fool there is. Yeah, maybe the smallest fool, I don't know. But big in a different way, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, it's been quite a ride to learn a new skill, and one thing I would really love is as soon as the opportunity presents itself again, because the opportunity has presented itself before, but I didn't have the material. I wasn't confident in the material that I had written, But once the opportunity presents itself again, I would absolutely love to just perform in front of people. Whether it goes well or not, it's still a learning process, It would probably be the worst feeling ever to get up in front of a crowd of people, and they're all looking at you ready to be entertained, and then you go up and you give your 2 minutes or your 3 minutes or your 5 minutes of material, and nobody's laughing the whole time. Ooh, that has to be super painful. That has to be super painful. And luckily, when I do it here, then I don't know if you were laughing or not. I really hope you are, and I imagine that you are. And I think that's all that really matters. But yeah, it would be interesting to test it out in front of people. You know, the delivery of the joke, the content of the joke, timing. All those kinds of things, and some of the spur of the moment improvisations. Just to enhance the joke or something. I don't know. But I would really like to do that. I'd really like to do that. But anyways, I don't know, did I announce that we're on Spotify now? I think I did. Cool. We're on there. But yeah, what's going on in the life of me? What's going on in the life of me? Nothing much, really. I think this past weekend was interesting. This past weekend was definitely an interesting one. It was Good Friday, and then it was, they call it Holy Saturday, and it was Easter Sunday, and then yesterday was Family Day or April Fool's Day or Easter Monday, whatever they call it. It's a whole bunch of different days mashed up into one. And it was a fun weekend. I think on Saturday I went to Kimberley and performed the concert that I was telling you about, and it was quite nice. I think that when it comes to musical performances regarding, like, within the structure of church, of the church organization and all that, just under that banner, then the musical precision, perfection isn't, it's a goal, it's not the main goal. The main goal is just to bring joy and peace to the hearts and souls of those who are there. Or to honor God, or to honor Jesus Christ, especially the sacrifice that He made and what that means for us as Christians, to be able to believe in the resurrection of the dead, because Christ's sacrifice has showed us that death is not the final step of life. In fact, there is the rest of your life continues after your body, after this vessel has perished. And that's beautiful, I think. It gives you hope, because once you believe that, then it's like, okay, it's not actually goodbye when my loved one passes away. It is, I will see you again. And the hope is that when the Lord returns, because that's the belief, right, that Jesus Christ will send, or God will send His Son Jesus Christ to come and take us all home. Because they love us all, He loves us all, and we can be reunited with Jesus Christ, like really be one with Him, but also once again connect with our loved ones who have left this world before us, and that's beautiful, But okay, enough of the metaphysics and all that. What has been going? Yeah, so that was the spirit of the concert, and I love that, because that's if you're super concerned about it, everything must be technically correct and musically perfect and all that, that's like, you've missed the point, man. You've missed the point. Like I said, it's a goal, it's not the goal. It's not the goal. And I think that should be the case with a lot of things. Like, really, let us examine what the true purpose of things are. Because I think we lose it sometimes. We throw the baby out of the bathwater simply because of what we value. And I think it's important to realize that, what we value isn't as, what you value might not be what other people value, and what you value might not even be valuable to most. It might not even be what is in truth valuable, because there are things that are just intrinsically valuable, and those are the things that we hold dear. Things like family, integrity, honesty, love, kindness, charity, those beautiful things. And those are ideals that every human strives towards. You really do. And sometimes we just have a bad way of doing it. There are people out there who are just, from our perspective, just not a great person, just full of nonsense, always with a negative attitude, always with something bad to say, always with something to say, because sometimes you don't need to say anything. And maybe those people's value system is just a bit, lopsided, I guess, you know. And I think that understanding what you value and really being able to choose carefully what your values and principles are, I think that's part of the way that you can become a happy person, I talk about it often, being happy or having a meaningful life. Because obviously that's my ultimate striving, on this earth, that's my ultimate striving. It's just to be happy, to live a fulfilling, meaningful existence, one that serves others, one that makes things better instead of worse. I want my existence to make things better and not worse. I want to be able to contribute to something positive, to the greater good, or whatever that may mean, and I think, I'm just sharing with you my investigation of it. Like, I think from my perspective, it's becoming more and more obvious the older I get that what you value determines how happy you are. Because if you value the things on the surface, right? A good example is physical beauty, right? If you value physical beauty, it's not going to last long, It's not going to last forever. So it's like you valuing something that is decreasing in value over time. And, or maybe you value money, and money is useful. And the more money you have, the more you can use it, for sure. But if we're looking at like truly valuable things, that only has material value. And it's not gonna necessarily serve you in a way that can make your life happier. Although you can definitely, provide for yourself and for those around you using money, and that will create a better life for them and for yourself. But it's not, if that's like your top value, then you've missed the plot completely, So, but I also think that what you value has to have balance, so, but I'm rambling anyways. What else has been going on? I don't even know how I got to this topic, but it's okay. You if you're new to the show, this is how it goes, okay? So just stay with me, alright? Okay. Anyways, what else has been going on in life, man? Oh, I've been doing driving lessons, and I just came back from one now, actually. I just got home and I started this show. I know what you're thinking. Why does he dress so formally for a driving lesson? Well, listener, viewer, here's the answer. Okay. I was at a funeral before that. I work at a school, and on the school there's a chapel, and the chapel offers funeral and wedding, services. So I'm the organist, which means that when there is a service that I need to be there, right? So part of my job is just making sure that when a service is being held, that I am available to just bring some peace and some comfort through music to the mourners, the people who have lost someone, And okay, so anyways, I don't want to go too deep about that. Let's not go too deep about anything, really. Or we can. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But either way, I came from a funeral. And then from the funeral, driving lesson. From driving lesson, podcast. So yeah, I am dressed in all black. I feel like John Wick, just ready to fight everybody. That's one of my favorite movies, by the way. John Wick, like all four of them, man. It's not a movie that's like, oh, what a beautiful story, or what a profound message, or what great acting. Nah, I mean, there are great actors in there, and the monologues are insane. It's actually quite comical, but the style of the film, the way that it's done, but also just the violence, like, I don't know how many people out there, are not violent people. But like I myself, I'm not a violent person, but geez, it's nice to once in a while, see someone participate in gratuitous violence. And it really is gratuitous, wow. Because everybody's trying to take the guy down and nobody can, son. And he He's just, plowing his way through people. Just, he's just like a one-man army, really. And it's just cool to watch. And sometimes when I'm exercising, then I watch that thing, when I'm doing adult fitness. I also restarted doing adult fitness lately. I realized that I've been quite lazy, man. Quite lazy. And that also might have something to do with why I wasn't feeling too good yesterday. So, I decided to participate a little bit in adult fitness, just individual adult fitness. So it definitely makes you feel better, like mentally, So it's something I've mentioned before, but it's there's so many benefits to exercise. I saw a just a comparison of I think 3 different people's X-rays, right, or 6 different people, but they were comparing like people in similar age groups. Those that are active in that age group, those that are not active in that age group. And you can see, if you look at a 30-year-old man, whether he's active or not, there isn't really much of a difference in bone density, in muscle, strength or anything like that, unless it's, bodybuilder. But they just took averages, which I think is fair for the comparison. Take the average person who doesn't exercise, take the average person who does exercise, right? But then when you get to 40, now you can really see a difference. Now you can really see, okay, the person who's 40 and doesn't live an active lifestyle, their bones are a bit less dense than the other, Even the structure, the overall structure of the body is more, let's say, more propped up as someone who's active, like physically active, versus someone who isn't. Now when you get to 50 and 60, you can see for real the differences, because someone who's 60 and exercises has a similar bone structure, or bone density rather, and muscle, muscle words similar to the 30-year-old or the 40-year-old. So it's like you're really delaying the inevitable, but you're delaying the aging process, and that's probably why it's important, especially when you're younger, to do these things, to exercise, because you have the energy, and even if you don't, exercising will give you the energy. But it's much easier. One thing is for sure, it's much easier to start now, whatever age you're at now, versus when you're 50, 60, 70 years old. It's very difficult to start exercising, to live a healthy lifestyle, to be fit and to be strong. It's very difficult to create that lifestyle because you become so set in your ways before, and that's natural. So if you're 20, 30, man, 40 even, approaching 40 or past 40, just get on with it. Just get on with it, And that's also what I told myself, I think sometimes you can't listen to your own excuses too much, man. So I just decided to get back on that mission of just being an adult fitness. Being an adult fitness. It doesn't even make sense. Of being a fit adult. That's what I was trying to say. But my words just kind of were swimming around there in my head just a little bit, to shake it loose there. But so I think exercising is super important. It's good for your body. It's good for your brain especially, and that's for me the main reason why I exercise. If I work out, I feel good, mentally, emotionally. I feel a lot more, I want to say stable, but stable is not really the word to use. I feel more like I'm firing on all cylinders. I feel optimal. Let's just put it that way. When I exercise, brain-wise, I feel optimal. I'm fast. Like my thoughts are fast. My brain can, make quick connections. My ability to think and process thoughts and emotions is up there. But the longer I don't exercise, I can see I get groggy. I get foggy. When you wake up in the morning, you just feel like you're still asleep. And so when I exercise, what I've noticed is I get better sleep, first of all, and while I'm sleeping, I'm getting better rest. Because sometimes you can sleep but not get rest, and that's a problem. That's a real problem. So that's something that I've noticed, is that I can sleep and get good rest on days where I exercise, And and if you sleep good, you live good, man. If you have poor sleep, your day is gonna be horrible, And I think maybe I didn't have good sleep on Sunday. That's why I didn't feel so great yesterday. I've been trying to figure this out because I think that when things don't go the way you want them to go, it's important to evaluate what might, of course, just investigate it a little bit, and then make sure that there's no repeat of the same thing. Or if there is a repeat, at least you know why, So yeah, so I just decided now you need to do some adult fitness now and just be healthier. Drink more water, because when you do adult fitness, you get more water in your body because you're thirstier. You're burning calories and it dries you out. You'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing push-ups, and then you're like 5, 6, 7. Your voice will get stronger. Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, that's also what's been going on with me. Just trying to exercise more, trying to get my driver's license finally. Because I failed my driver's test like 3 times already, and the test I'm gonna do soon is gonna be the 4th one and the final one. Honestly, I think it's about time I just get my driver's license. Jeez, I'm 27 years old and I still don't have my driver's license. Get it together, Xavier. And I think what we need to do is, I think it's maybe good to tell people, hey, you need to get it together, man. Especially when you approach like the ages of 26, 27, 28. I found this out very interestingly. The age I'm at right now, 27, is normally where people like celebrities or people at my age, it's a 50-50. There's a lot of people my age who have decided to end their lives, and there's a lot of people my age who have decided to just clean up their act and pursue good life. And it's interesting, isn't it? There's so many people who are drug addicts, for example, and then when they reach 27, that's when they kick the habit, or that's when they overdose. And it's just go do some research, go see how many people that are famous have passed away as a result of a drug overdose around the age of 26, 27, 28. It's startling, and even how many people have started their sobriety coming out of addiction, be it through alcohol or drugs or whatever addiction that they have. They start cleaning it up at 27, and if you don't, man, after that, you might never. But if you are one of those people, well done and congratulations. That's also someone that I'd love to have an interview with, like someone who's recovered from addiction. That is, I've always found it fascinating, because the willpower, you can imagine the willpower involved in overcoming something as strong as addiction. Oh my goodness, because for those of us that are not addicted to something like a drug or anything, it's like we don't know what it's like. And so I'd love to speak to someone who has been able to do that, but that's when we can accommodate guests, but where was I going with this? What was I saying? Oh, I was just talking about my age. So yeah, so I also feel like at this age, I think I'm getting a lot more serious about my life and where I want it to go, and really just making sure that I keep it in my own hands. I think there's a lot in our lives that we can't control. Things just happen. Circumstances, luck, if you can call it that. I'm not a firm believer in luck, to be honest. I think that we have free will, and that sometimes things just happen, but I like to focus more on having free will, which means that I am a agent in the world who can determine his own path, and that's what I'm trying to do, so I've kind of worked on putting a schedule together. It's not the first time I've done this, but now I think it's time to just hold on to it. Just don't stop. Just keep consistent. Always have a schedule, always have a plan. Let your plan and your goals be integrated with your schedule, so that while you're doing day-to-day life, everything you do has an intention. Everything you do is with a goal in mind. A long-term goal, a short-term goal, doesn't matter. But I think it's important. I truly do think it's important, especially in times like this where it's difficult to get a leg up. It's difficult to get a leg up in this life, man. I personally know so many people who just are stuck, man. And not by their own doing. They just are stuck because of what has been handed to them, the cards that they have. But I truly believe that there's always a move to make. And you just have to find it. Sometimes you have to be put in such a desperate situation that you figure it out like that. Or sometimes you have to be put in a state of being so long that you decide, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get out of this thing. And for me, that's been part of my motivation in a lot of different ways, just to try and get a handle on this thing, man. Because I don't think life is easy, and I don't think it should be either. I don't think it should be. I think comfort and convenience are harmful. I really do think so. And notice when things get very comfortable, that's when things start falling apart. That's when you don't have energy anymore. That's when you feel stressed. That's when you feel like nothing is working. That's when you feel, oh no, I'm just going to give up. It's because you've become too comfortable. And I feel like for many things in my life, I'm not going to share everything with you, because I'm entitled to my privacy, of course. But there's a lot of things that I have been able to really reflect on in my own life and just see, like, there are definitely ways in which I contributed negatively to my life, and you'd be surprised how many ways you contribute negatively to your life. And I think to be a responsible adult really just means accepting that and changing that. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's like, oh, you're depressed, you're a bit down. Are you exercising? Are you drinking enough water? Are you sleeping properly? Are you getting enough sunlight? Oh, you don't have a job? Do you have a CV? Have you applied everywhere you can? And that's the thing. Like employment's a big one. And when I talk about other people's circumstances and my own, I'm really also talking about employment. Like, geez, in this country, it's brutal. I think we're probably the least employed nation in the world. And that's just there's a lot of factors that relate to that. But I think if the government really wanted to, and because voting season is coming up, I mean, if you really wanna vote for somebody, I would suggest, not that I know anything, because I'm an idiot about these things, and I myself don't know who to vote for, because it doesn't seem like there are any good choices. And statistically, it looks like a lot of young people agree with me. They are just no good choices, man. Everybody's very despondent about voting, because it's like, geez, is there really not a choice, an intelligent choice? Why does everything have to be based on propaganda or belief or sentiment, really? And I think that's part of the issue that's been happening in South Africa for a long time, is that the same party has been in charge for ever since we've had a democracy in this country. And it hasn't been, they are really, they've dropped the ball, it's safe to say. They've really dropped the ball, and it shows in a lot of different statistics. Just unemployment, for one. The amount of people that kill themselves in this country is, I think, we're the second highest on that list. I'm not sure, you can fact check me if you like, but because I don't want to make any false claims. But the fact that unemployment is so high, that the suicide rate is so high, that I think probably the overall satisfaction with government is so low. Yeah, man, it's time for a change. But who do you choose, man? But like I was saying, I think I would probably just go for the people who don't use race as a determining factor to who gets hired. Because right now there's legislation in place that allows basically for discrimination. It allows for discrimination on the basis of race, on the basis of gender, on the basis of on the basis of those things, and it's not really that different from what it was, the government we had before this, when it was still apartheid. It's not really that different. It's still discrimination based on race, on gender, on ethnicity, or whatever, or religion, or whatever it may be. But I think I would vote for the people who are like, when we're in charge, we're going to get rid of that thing. We don't see race as an important factor in any decision at all. And I agree. That's how I feel. I think your race is probably the least important thing about you. It's the least important thing about you. Who you are as a person, that's what's important. Your character, your motivations, your goals, your intentions, your personality. That's what's important. Your race is at the bottom of that list, And unfortunately, right now we live in a country where, I might be the best qualified person for the job, but because my race or ethnicity or whatever group I fit into, which I also think is so dumb, but I'm not going to go into that. Maybe I should, but anyways, just because I, belong to this one group of people, I'm not going to get that position because they are looking to fill that position with somebody that belongs to another group of people, ethnic group. And, it might seem like a good thing and they might paint it as a beautiful picture, but it's not. It's not a beautiful picture at all. You're basically saying that you don't get to earn your way into success. And that's a terrible message. It's a terrible message. Because no one can do anything about the race that they were born into. No one can do anything about it. So why should that become a reason why you hire somebody or not? It's silly. It's silly. I understand why it might have been the case in the past, due to severe, trying to correct racial inequality in this country, in South Africa. But it's been 30 years and I think it might have been overcorrected, because now it's systematic, man. It's systematic racism. Or what is it? Systemic. It's systemic racism, man, and it's unfair, to be honest, And I'm saying this because a lot of people that I know who are struggling to find work, who are perfectly qualified and perfectly capable to do the job, are being overlooked, simply because they belong to the least employed racial group in South Africa. And I'm not gonna name it. You go and Google it. It's not something I like to get into because I'm not a political person. I don't get into all of that politics. And I say that, but I just got into politics pretty deep, But it's something that matters to me, man. I guess the way that I grew up was just that, people are people. You're a person, I'm a person, we have things in common, we have differences. And I think the least important difference is going to be our ethnicity, man. Because there's a lot of people that I can say, okay, same racial group, and I think that's such a, oh man, to put so many different ethnically diverse people into a group of, let me just name it on its name. In South Africa, you have different races, and this is just what they say administratively. When you look at the forms, there's boxes you have to tick, and these are the boxes. Number 1 is African, and that just means someone of African descent. Okay. And what that means really depends on how far back you're going to look, and that just applies for everything. But anyways, then you get white, which is Caucasian. However, Caucasian isn't the only group of white, just if you want to be technical about it. And then you also get coloreds, which is the group that I belong to, which is really the silliest, to be honest, the silliest classification. And then you get Asian and Indian. Somehow Asian and Indian are different, but, where's India? It's an Asian, you know. So, but anyway, so those are the groups, you know. And if your mother and father are not of the same race, then you are colored. And that's dumb. Why is it dumb, Xavier? Well, because being colored just means that you are of mixed ethnicity, and that's not a race. That's not an ethnicity. You know, if you really want to go to the definition of what an ethnicity is, let's do this. I'm sorry to bring you along on my rant, but I hope that Google hasn't been captured by the radical left to give a really terrible definition. Here we go. The quality or fact of belonging to a population group or subgroup made up of people who share a common cultural background or descent. Okay, now what is race? Let's see, what is race? Race refers to the concept of dividing people into groups on the basis of various sets of physical characteristics and the process of ascribing social meaning to those groups. Ascribing social meaning to those groups. You see, so it's an institution, really, a social institution, not a fact of, it's not, yeah. Anyway, ethnicity describes the culture of people in a given geographic region, including their language, heritage, religion, and customs. You see, so none of that really applies to South Africa, because there are people who are of different, according to these definitions, who are of different ethnicities, but that speak the same language, or share similar heritage. So, and then there are people who have the same heritage but don't speak the same language. There are people who have the same religious customs but are not of the same racial group. You see what I mean? It's all stupid, man. It's all stupid. Like I just think that it's not. It might be important in some ways, okay? Not ones that come to mind to me. But if we're looking at it, as a hiring tool, man, it's a weak one. It's a weak way to discern who to hire. So, and I think it's unfair, because it's not as if you earn your way into becoming a black person or a colored person or a white person or whatever, or a Christian or a Muslim or whatever. Or, so based on this definition, it would contradict itself if we ascribed, or rather if we classified people in our country as different ethnicities, even just within the continent of Africa. You cannot say everyone is an African. That's not an ethnicity. That's just that they are born on this continent. Or of African descent, meaning that their ancestors were born on this continent. But if you look at it like ethnically, if we're talking ethnically, maybe that's race, and race is a dumb thing. It says there, the concept of dividing people into groups on the basis of various sets of physical characteristics, which is messed up, and the process of ascribing social meaning to those groups. That's all dumb. That it's completely invalid, because if you take Africa as a set of how to look at these things, right? Africa is so ethnically diverse, okay, that nowhere in the world is there more ethnic diversity than in Africa. All right? And this is my larger point. Within the group of that they call colored people, that is the most ethnically diverse group of people in the world. How can they belong to the same group? Just explain that to me. So based on the facts, really, you cannot classify all African people into a single racial group. You can't, and then you also can't put all colored people or people of mixed ethnicity into one racial group. It's useless, if I can put it that way. The only reason you need it is maybe for statistics, but even those statistics have no bearing on any decision making. And I believe that. So yeah, sorry for that rant. Wow, I feel I feel one of the suggested things here is Jonas Brothers, Moana, Freddie Mercury. But I searched ethnicity and race. Why do they do that? Anywho, where was I? Sorry. Oh. Yeah, what else is going on in life? We are really all over the show today, but it's okay. I feel good, I feel alright. It's nice to wear this. I think one day when I have my own studio and I can accommodate multiple guests and all that, I think this is gonna be. I'd like to wear formal attire. I've always been comfortable in formal attire. It's so great. Like even growing up, when you come from church, because that's when you're wearing your suit. Not your suit, but your tie and your shirt. You feel like I never changed out of it. I would be forced. Hey, go change. Because the clothes need to be washed and all that. But I never really liked to change out of it. I enjoy this. I enjoy wearing formal attire. It's not sustainable, but it's nice. So I think going forward, that's something I'd love to do, is just have the dress code of the show to be formal, which is super ironic because we're just gonna talk a bunch of nonsense, and that's what I've been doing here. I've just been talking nonsense. I just had a little rant on ethnicity and race and voting and systemic racism in this country. So I apologize for that. Jeez, I didn't think it would go there, to be honest. But I think just to wrap that up in a neat little bow, your race is the least important thing about you. And if you think it's part of your identity, it might be. But it's the smallest part of your identity. Your character, your integrity, that's part of your character. The level of kindness you have towards people, your ability to be empathetic and to be compassionate, your ability to understand people, your ability to communicate, your ability to handle yourself in demanding situations, stressful situations. Those are the things that are most important about you. Your personality. Are you agreeable? Are you not agreeable? Are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? Are you open-minded or are you closed-minded? Are you, what's the other one? I think there are 5 traits that they use to determine or to figure out where your personality sits on the scale, and it works in percentiles. So there's openness, conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is basically your ability to be disciplined, to stave off gratification. And then you have extroversion or introversion, so that's whether you're extroverted or not. I'm pretty much an extroverted person. So in terms of openness, I'm a very open person. I'm a creative. I like to think that I'm a creative mind. I enjoy music. I enjoy art. I'm fascinated with literature and those types of things, those creative endeavors. And I think my openness would probably be pretty high on that scale. Conscientiousness, I don't know where I sit. I think I would be maybe between the 60th and 70th percentile, because there are times, more often than not, I'm able to be disciplined. I'm able to work hard. I'm able to work towards a goal without allowing myself to lose any flavor or distractions or whatever. But it does happen at times where I lose my discipline a little bit, where I decide, okay, I'll exercise tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, I'll exercise tomorrow, and then you lose it a little bit. So I would think I'm maybe somewhere there on that scale. Extroversion, I'm probably super high in extroversion, because there's not many situations in which I find myself needing to be by myself, first of all. And I also don't find myself being very shy often. Like even when I make an embarrassing mistake in public, I just don't feel it. I think it would be something extreme for me to be embarrassed by something. And what's the other one? Agreeableness. I would say I'm quite an agreeable person. You do get people who are very disagreeable, and those are the ones that you can say, nah, that person doesn't take any nonsense, But I'll take your nonsense. Not all of it. I'll take maybe 54% of your nonsense. And then after that, I'll be like, I'm not taking your nonsense anymore. And that's just where I think I sit on the agreeability scale. What's the last one? Neuroticism. So it spells ocean. openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Neuroticism is basically just your ability to withstand stress, and I think I'm pretty low on that spectrum, to be honest. I think I would be definitely under 50%, or in the under the 50th percentile of neuroticism, simply because yes, I can handle stress and yes, I can perform under pressure, but I don't respond well to prolonged stress. And for me, prolonged just means if I have to be stressed 2 days in a row, then I'm falling apart, you know. so that's kind of where I sit with that. But you should check it out if you want to know more about what your about where your personality sits. I would highly suggest that you go do a quiz on like your Big Five personality. I think it's called the Big Five personality type test or something like that. There's another one called the Myers-Briggs test, but that one is used for a different purpose. But I would say take them both to try and understand yourself better. It's a helpful tool, because then you know, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. I can use these to my advantage, you know, something like that. It also helps to know like what kind of person you are, so that you can sort of recognize where your natural environment sits. Who's the people that you enjoy surrounding yourself with? Because it's difficult to decide that you don't want to be around certain people, because maybe you don't understand why you don't want to be around certain people, you know. So once you understand why certain things are the case, you can make more informed decisions, and that's just a better path to life. Isn't that a clearer path to life? Now you're no longer just wading through the jungle, you are actually now on a road, and you can see clearly where the road is headed. And for me, that's a goal of life. I really thought I would try and keep this under an hour, but that's not going to happen. And we are by the book segment, and this week I want to talk about George Orwell's 1984. I put some notes down also, because I don't wanna mess it up. I really want to discuss this book in depth. I feel like I just mangled 12 Rules for Life last week, so I'm gonna do this properly, okay? First of all, George Orwell is a very what's the word to use here? He's probably one of the most important authors in English literature. Okay, for reasons not just about English language, but really for thought in general. You know, I don't think George Orwell was necessarily a philosopher, but he's definitely someone who paid attention, you know, to the dangers of political ideology, to the reason why we should stay away from totalitarianism as far as we can. And this book really highlights that. You know, the book is set in a dystopian future, and in the case of him writing this book, it is set in the future to George Orwell, of course. But it's a future in which there is one government, not one, there's like two governments. You see, I'm already mangling this thing. Okay. Yeah, okay, anyway, there's a government. There is a government, and the government controls everything people say, everything people do, and everything people think. Okay? And, so I'm just going to go to my notes. Okay? 1984 is a dystopian novel that explores the themes of totalitarianism, surveillance, propaganda, and the manipulation of truth. And that's, yeah. So basically, there are a few points that I took, or that, like, just some takeaways that I wrote down. When you read a book, by the way, you should take notes. Like, maybe if you're done with a chapter, what did you think about the chapter? How would you summarize it, you know? There's a reason why they had us do that in school, is so that you can really fully process everything that you just read. Or if you're like me, you like to read the book finished, and then try and write as much as you can about the book you just read, because that helps you with comprehension. You're trying to understand what you just wrote down, and you're trying to wrestle with the thoughts that you've had during the process of reading this book. But anyway, so the first takeaway was about power and control. Okay, and the novel depicts a society where the ruling party, which is led by Big Brother, they just call it Big Brother. Nobody's seen the party leaders or anything. It's just that they call it Big Brother. And Big Brother exercises complete control over every aspect of people's lives, right? This highlights the danger of an unchecked government power. And just look at that words, just look how beautiful that fits into what we spoke about just now, about the current government, might I call it the current regime, right? Because we have a government where accountability is really low. That's why there are so many people who get away with corruption, so many people who get away with nepotism, so many people who get away with abusing the system of racism that we experience in the hiring process, or even in the process of granting people a social aid, or granting people a business funding. It's so, I'm not going to go back to it. You know what I think about it. It's stupid. Anyways, then and also the potential for authoritarian regimes to manipulate and oppress their citizens. And this is exactly what happens when you put all the power in the hands of the government. They are going to take advantage of it, and they will. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Anyways, the second one, surveillance state. One of the most iconic aspects of 1984 is the concept of constant surveillance through television screens and the thought police. So, the thought police in this book, they are kind of the law enforcement, but look at that word, thought police. They are enforcing your thinking, because there are ways in which you mustn't think. See how contrary that runs to freedom, right? Is that they are even controlling people's thoughts, right? But also the fact that everything you do is being watched, even in your own home. And if you get out of the view of your camera for too long, then they come and arrest you. The thought police comes and gets you because you're doing something individually, by yourself. You making decisions for yourself. Unacceptable. You're going to jail, right? And why do they want this? Because they know that freedom, free thinking, undermines totalitarian government. It really does. It really does. Anyways, and if you look in places like Great Britain is a good example. There's cameras everywhere, and the citizens don't feel safe. So what should that tell you? There are maybe too many cameras, dude. And ironically enough, they use the government will use the camera idea, or rather the idea of safety, to enforce this thing, or to push this thing of, we need to have more cameras. We need to have cameras everywhere. It's dangerous. By the way, George Orwell was a British guy, so he's way ahead of his time. Goodness me. But anyways, this reflects Orwell's concerns about the erosion of privacy and the potential for governments to use technology to monitor and control people. So that's the thing, right? The more you're being watched, the less free you are, because don't you want to at least, it's not as if, most people don't do bad stuff in their private time. So why survey them with everything, Anyways, manipulation of truth. The government in 1984, it's called the party. It's just the party, okay? And we know we have a party also, and we like those guys. And controls the information, and they also control the history. And they change history just to suit the current narrative of whatever the intention of the government is. Sound familiar? Anyways, and this highlights obviously the danger of propaganda and the distortion of truth for political purposes. And that's why I'm very mistrusting of the government. I'm mistrusting of the government, and I'm mistrusting of the news. Because sometimes the news is unknowingly manipulating the public because of the actions of government leaders, because of the actions of political leaders. There are people who are trying to paint themselves in a very, very positive light by using social media, and that social media gains traction. It's picked up by the news people report on it, and then everybody that wasn't looking at the social media watches the news and sees, oh, maybe that's someone I can vote for. It's it's such a manipulation. So yeah, if you read this book, you're gonna sit and think a lot. You're really gonna sit and think a lot, because it's an aspect that you, after you read it, you feel like, no man, we're not actually that far away from this type of environment, this type of government, you know. But anyways, okay, so we discussed that. Then there's two concepts that the novel also talks about or introduces. The one is doublethink, which is holding contradictory beliefs simultaneously, and newspeak, which is a language designed to eliminate unorthodox thoughts. So they basically also now told you what to say, right, and what to think, so that if you have conflicting ideas, which is normal, it's normal to have conflicting ideas, right? But you are, as a human being, you're able to decide, but nah man, that one is silly and this other one is more legit, right? And maybe once more facts are presented, you can change your mind, right? But the idea in the book about doublethink is that you are free. And that's because you're free, because we can see everything you do and we tell you what to think and we tell you what to do, you know? And that level of indoctrination, if you were raised in that way, which a lot of the people, everyone in the book was raised to think this way, you'll believe it. You'll never, how can you know what freedom is if you've never experienced freedom, you know? And that's why it was so effective. And I just love the way George Orwell wrote this book, because he sort of makes the enemy, like for us as readers, the enemy is obviously Big Brother, the party. And he paints this picture of this government being so powerful, you know, and that's stories that I really love. I mean, even in movies where the villain of the story is like, nah, there's no way you can defeat this guy. He's too powerful, you know. And I think that's what makes a good author, I think, is where your villain isn't a straw man. Your villain might have legitimate reasons for doing it, reasons you might even agree with why that person is a villain. You might even say, man, I understand why this. If it were me, I would also be the villain, you know? So the book obviously, like George Orwell obviously paints a very good picture about how the government works in this book, right? And the idea of using language like that, the manipulation of language, is brilliant. And that's exactly what's happening nowadays, right? You hear a lot of thoughts like silence is violence. You know, what else? What else is there? There's another one that I saw that was just ridiculous. Oh, the science is settled. You hear stuff like that, and it's like, that's not how science works. Science is constantly trying to figure itself out. That's why they are scientists. If the science was sorted, then there would be many fields of science that are just like, okay guys, we figured it all out. We're gonna close up, we just switch off all the lights. Let's go home, guys, let's lock up. We're gonna go, you know? But that's not how science works. You know, silence is violence? No, it's not. That's like, what are you even talking about? Anyways, I'm not even going to go into that. But the use of the manipulation of language is something that the radical left, I am really getting into politics here. My apologies. I don't mean to bore you with it, but I just want to get through the reviewing of this book. But anyways, the radical left, meaning the socialists, the communists, you know, those people that we like so much. They literally, in 2024, in today's society, for the past 10 years or so, they've been manipulating language. Now things mean other things. Now, because of the language use, you cannot now debate anything anymore. You cannot argue things based on facts, because now the meanings of those facts have changed. The facts haven't changed, but the meanings of those facts have changed. So it's really dangerous, and that's why it's newspeak. We're busy with newspeak and doublethink and groupthink and all that nonsense. But anyways, we move on to groupthink. Actually, the second last point is the book also plays with the opposition of individuality and the collective, all right? Because it's easy to be a part of the collective unconscious. It's easy to be a part of the group think, the way that everybody thinks. You see this clearly in when mob justice takes place. I saw a picture of on social media, and I hate that this is on social media, to be honest. I really don't appreciate it, but I do feel like you should be allowed to post whatever you like. That's just freedom of speech, man. Freedom of expression or whatever. But this guy was, he did something horrible to a child. And they found him, and they put a tire on him, and they set that tire on fire. And basically burned him to death. And this was now the whole community that did this. And you might sit there and say, oh, that's a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. The ability of a group to not think clearly, to just decide, no, we are going to end this man's life because of what he did. We're not going to allow the judicial process to take place. We're just going to end this man's life. That's the danger of groupthink. Because what if you got the wrong guy? What if you got the wrong guy, dude? Did you think about that? Did the group think about that? No. Because the group is a dangerous place to think. That's why the book talks about this. Because the reason why the government was able to get so far in its level of control is simply because it encouraged groupthink instead of encouraging individuality. So if you're someone that finds yourself constantly in the position to agree with everybody else, maybe think about why that is. Maybe think about that. Why do I like the song, but everybody else likes the song as well? What's up with that? Why do I agree with this president or this president or that president? Why do I agree with that person and everybody else does as well? Am I really being objective here? So yeah, anyways, let me just go into that. There's a character, the main protagonist in the book, his name is Winston Smith. And he also, everyone else has similar names, like there are only few names. Anyways, he grapples with his own desire for individuality and truth in a society that demands conformity and obedience to the party. This raises questions about the balance between personal freedom and social expectations. So see, even there, right, that's also what makes the group such a powerful, attractive force, is that you are in a position to be comfortable. You just allow it to happen because it's what's expected of you. It's easy to do what's expected of you, right? Because it's expected, and it's taboo maybe to step outside of what society expects. I'll give you a perfect example. There's a lot of people who feel that at a certain age their life needs to be sorted. I'm just gonna let that sit there. There's a lot of people who feel that by a certain age their life has to be in a certain way. It's not a goal, it's not a plan, it's just no, that's what society expects. And I think that's silly. But that's a harmful way of thinking, and that's what the idea of conforming to what society expects. Don't conform, man. We're all unique. Maybe we're not all super unique. Like we have a lot of differences. We have a lot of similarities as human beings, as people, men and women, different ethnicities, different religions. The things that make us different are much less than the things that make us the same. So let's celebrate the differences, man. Let's celebrate the differences. We use the similarities just to connect, but the differences are what make you you. So if you really want to consider your identity as part of the group, man, you're robbing yourself of yourself. You're robbing yourself of yourself. But anyway, so these are just some of the thoughts that the book, brought me to. Also, finally, just a warning against totalitarianism. And totalitarianism is just where the government is in complete control, like a dictatorship, for example. Like if you look at Mao's China, Stalin's Soviet Union, Hitler's Germany, Pol Pot's Bolivia, like all those places, there a lot of people died. And that's the end goal of totalitarianism, is that anyone that doesn't agree with you, you end their life, man. Or you brainwash them. And it's easier than you think to brainwash people. There's a reason why so many people walk around with them yellow shirts, them yellow and green shirts, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe with them red shirts even. Or maybe with them blue shirts, or the green shirts, or whatever. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. All these different parties. They've been indoctrinated. They've lost the ability to discern what is good and what isn't. They've lost the ability to decide that this person, this party, I agree with it, but there are certain issues that I don't agree with, right? Because it shouldn't be the case that you agree with everything. Come on, man, how lazy is that? Surely there must be something you disagree about. And I don't mean to be Aristian about it, because, I mean, to approach everything in an Aristian way is problematic in and of itself, because now you're just finding reasons to disagree. But also to be contrarian is a very cynical way to approach everything. You know, you can't think about that way about everything, but you should be able to just, without any filter, be able to objectively decide, is this a good thing? Does this serve the good? Does it not serve the good? You know? And I think if everybody was free thinking and not lazy about thinking, and I think that's maybe the problem, is that it's easy for these parties to capture you. It's easy for these ideologies to capture you, because that's exactly what happens, right? You don't possess an ideology. No. Don't for one second think that you have an ideology. That ideology has you. It's captured you. Because you represent it all of a sudden as if it was your idea in the first place. It isn't. It's just that you lack the ability to decide that this is good or this is not good. I'm talking too long about this. But anyways, look at this, okay? It serves as a warning, 1984. It serves as a warning about the dangers of totalitarianism and the potential consequences of unchecked government power, okay? And if you ask me, our government has been unchecked for a pretty long time, you know. People say stuff against the government, but nothing happens. And I think that's worse than, it's just, Anyways, the book also encourages readers to remain vigilant about the threats to democracy, freedom of expression, and human rights. So there you have it. There are certain things that you're not allowed to say anymore. Did you know that? You're not allowed. You're not allowed to say something. And I don't like that. I don't accept that. You know all these little things that they say, oh, that's offensive, it's not politically correct. No. That is somebody's attempt to infringe on your freedom of expression, your freedom of speech, of your basic human rights. And I don't think I'm being too nitpicky about this. I don't think I'm being too pedantic about it. I truly think that it's an attempt. And once you give an inch, then they take another inch. And you're like, okay. You know? Like, for example, it's like this. I'll give you two examples just to hit this point home. They don't do it in one go. Like, boom, this is how the government is now. No. They don't do it like that. What they do is that, like, picture a pot of boiling water and you throw a frog in the water. I don't know why you throw a frog in the water. Maybe you like eating frogs, okay? I don't know what you like to eat. Anyways. The water's boiling. You throw the frog in. The frog jumps out because it's hot water. Great. Now, what if you put the frog in cold water and you start boiling it? It's going to be gradual, right? By the time the water's hot enough to kill this frog, the frog won't notice and then the frog dies. Right? Or even, here's another example to hit it on. Look at, imagine, I saw a video like this once and it was very interesting. They moved this person's living room like by that much every day. And the person didn't notice. The people didn't notice. Like it's just like brother and sister, they decide, okay, we're gonna move all the furniture like this much every day. And the people didn't notice, the parents didn't notice. And then again, just another, because you don't notice, you're not going to notice that much of a difference in position of why the couch is so far away from this area, that area, right? And you'd be surprised at which point people actually notice how far it's gone. And by that time, it might be too late. So that's why I think I'm not being too pedantic about it, or rather pedantic about it. I just think that you need to keep your eyes open. You are constantly being there is constant attempts at manipulating us through the news and especially through social media. That's what makes these parties even more powerful now, is that they know everybody's on social media. They know everybody's using Facebook or Instagram or X or what are the other apps? TikTok, man. They're using these apps to convince you of certain things, man. And I think it's wrong. But they are also allowed to do it. I'm not gonna stop them from doing it. If it were up to me, I wouldn't stop them from doing it, but I would call them out because I'm allowed to. And that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah. Keep your eyes open, everybody. Keep your eyes open, and don't allow the attempts of parties and government to slowly encroach until you don't have any more freedom, and that can happen. There's already things we're not allowed to say. There's already a lot of things that we're not allowed to do, even though it doesn't harm anybody. Look at it this way. Imagine this, and this is actually for real. There are things you're not allowed to put in your body, and if you do, you're committing a crime. Like, why aren't you allowed to put it in your own body? I understand that there are further effects, but some stuff doesn't have that. Like, I'm not gonna go into it anyways. But go and read this book, everybody. Go and read this book if you want a rude awakening about the dangers of government, and if you want to open your eyes a bit about where things could go, where things are starting to go, go and read this book. Go and read this book. Because this book will keep you awake. Maybe not at night, but it'll keep you awake for sure. But anyway, so that was the book segment. I think it went on a bit long. I should have started with that earlier actually, but I don't mind. You are the viewer and you enjoy it. At least I hope so. But I've also been thinking a lot, like I've been asking myself, like, what's been on your mind lately? And I have a couple of silly ones with you. I've been like so, I wouldn't call it a fear, ne? But it's like this thought that won't leave my mind, and the thought is, what would happen if you just had a mental breakdown? Because it can happen. There are many stories out there where someone was perfectly fine the one moment and the next moment they've done something horrible just without knowing it even. And they might so imagine that you think you're having a normal day, you're taking a walk across the street to go buy a loaf of bread or something, and you think that you're doing that and you think you're coming back home, when actually what's happening is you are fighting people without any clothes in the street and you don't know what's going on. Like even just talking about that, I my heart is racing, dude. Because imagine the fact that you don't know that can happen is man, it's terrifying, dude. It's terrifying, And I wish there was just some way that you could know, like, am I being insane? Am I not being insane? Because you might be in that state of mind without anyone, not noticing anybody's reaction to you, or rather not being able to interpret people's reactions, and rather thinking that they approve of whatever's going on when actually they are horrified. Man, that's a scary one. It's sitting there just in the back of my head. One of those little TVs. It's a big TV actually, playing that little video. Oh my goodness. Imagine that happen. Imagine that happened to you. Like, I can't even ask you what you would do because you don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen. If only there was still these white vans that would drive around, and if they see someone being crazy, some guys wearing white jackets would just come and say, hey, come here, let's go take care of you. Now that doesn't happen nowadays. Now it's like you might get beaten and you might get run over or bumped by a car. Like, it's dangerous. So I'm terrified of something like that happening. So I'm just like really set on taking care of myself. And not that the potential for it to happen is there, but there's a small chance. It can happen to anybody. So yeah, that's just one of those intrusive thoughts really that you try and like, man, that's silly. But then you're also like, but actually, Anyways, then the other one was like, this one is a genuine fear though. And I think maybe I've just been watching too many movies and series about this particular phenomenon. But I'm really scared of walking into a parallel universe accidentally. Or maybe you wake up in a parallel universe where instead of everyone being reasonably good, everybody's kind of like evil, and they're trying to cheat you or they kill you to take your position at work, or like everyone's like that. So you constantly have to wash your back, and you can't trust anybody. You have to wash your back so it can be clean. You constantly have to watch your back so that you're safe. Like or you wake up in a parallel universe where you're the alien dude. And people are chasing you. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to go. I don't know. I think I need my brain to slow down, to be honest. Jeez, because I'm just having these wild thoughts. But anyways, I think I can leave it there. I actually have more to discuss, but nah, I'll save it for next week. But anyways, if you've made it this far, well done and thank you. If you've made it this far, then say I made it. Just in the comments, just say I made it. Then I know how many people who are my real supporters, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show, and just be good to yourself. You probably deserve it.